Hello, everyone. And first of all, happy Women's History Month. Women's History Month presents an opportunity to carve out space to highlight women in our history and women in our world for their contributions, big and small. At NorthStar, we take this opportunity to magnify Black women and melanated and mapping women in particular. So, welcome to our special Women's History Month event, celebrating Dr. Gladys West, the mother of GPS. Of course, brought to you by the NorthStar of GIS, where we host the only global interdisciplinary community of Black geo students, educators, entrepreneurs, and professionals. So, as we gather to honor the legacy of a pioneering Black woman in STEM, we reflect on this year's theme. The theme for Women's History Month being Invest in Women, Accelerate Progress. And our annual theme, Art, Afrofuturism, and Geography, Designing an Equitable and Feminist Future. So, with that in mind, let's embark on this journey of recognition and empowerment together. Now, as we go forward with this event, I want you all to feel welcome and invited to start to share your questions in the chat, share your thoughts in the chat, share emojis in the chat. There's a Q&A section. We'll be checking that as well. And I'm sure that your questions, your ideas, and your comments will resonate with each other and hopefully resonate with today's themes as we reflect on the impact of Black women in our lives, in our careers, and on the world. Now, before we get started with our conversation with someone really special, we want to set the tone for today's celebration. So, we're honored to present a musical performance by Octavia Reese. Her artistry embodies the spirit of Afrofuturism and geography, weaving together a narrative of hope and progress rooted in reflecting in nature. So I want to welcome Octavia Reese to the stage and let her share some of her wonderful music with us. Welcome, Octavia.
Thank you so much for having me. I want to give a little bit of background about the music that I play. I'm performing meditative sound baths, and my music is actually rooted in nature. I write to music. We all have music within us. Everyone has a heartbeat, and that beat is your body's music. And so we live with music from the moment we're conceived, whether you realize it or not. Our breathing is also in a rhythm, and the world around us is also constantly making music. So I like to write to music. People will see me looking a little bit weird sometimes walking around with my phone recording the sounds around me. So this piece is called Peace, and you'll hear birds in the background that I recorded outside of my apartment in Chicago. I've relocated to Maryland now, so I'm not in Chicago right now. But later on, you'll hear some background sounds of Paris. I was in France last year on an artist residency to do specifically that, to write more meditational sound baths. My music is meant to make you feel things, and everyone feels something different. If you feel like sharing your story with me, I would love to hear it. I've had people fall asleep during my sound baths because they're so relaxed. I take that as a compliment. I have had people tell me they've time traveled, that they've gone back and relived memories from their childhood that they hadn't thought of in decades. So if anything moves you and you feel compelled to share, I would love to hear what it has done for you. But now I would like to play for you Peace. You are welcome to close your eyes and listen to your own body's rhythm and your own body's music, and think about whatever it is that's on your heart right now. One of my favorite things that I'm saying at work all the time is collaboration over competition, but I also believe in a bigger picture of releasing things that we can't control. So I'd like to leave you with some of those deep thoughts, and I hope you enjoy this.
Thank you so
Thank you
much,
so much,
Octavia.
Octavia.
It's
It's
I was
I was
moved to a place. I was thinking about, what's going on in my life today, and that your music really fed me in this moment. So I really appreciate that. And now it's my privilege to introduce Carolyn Oglesby, the daughter of the legendary Dr. Gladys West. Carolyn's insights will offer us a unique perspective on her mother's life and legacy, highlighting the profound impact of investing in women, quite frankly. We want to talk about a few things with Carolyn today. We want to sort of discuss the personal legacy and a personal legacy um, and with Women's History Month in mind. We want to talk about something special that we have coming, Black in Geography Day, and what Dr. West's legacy means to all of us and what it could mean for the rest of geography communities. So, welcome to our stage, our humble stage, Dr. Carolyn Oglesby. We're so excited to have you.
Hi, I'm excited to be here.
Great. For those who don't know, uh, Dr. Oglesby's mother, Dr. West, is known as the mother of GPS because her work in mathematics was crucial in helping us understand the curvature of the Earth and ultimately leading to technology that we all take for granted today. GPS. It's in every major cell phone today. Has been in major cell phones for a really long time. It's in brand new cars. These self-driving vehicles wouldn't function really well without GPS. A lot of us wouldn't function really well without GPS. So, we owe a lot to your mother's work, and we deeply appreciate her and you for taking time to join us today.
Thank you.
So, Carolyn, reflecting on Women's History Month, and again, that theme of investing in women and to accelerate progress, can you share how your mother, Dr. West, exemplified these ideals, or her life was exemplary of these ideals, whether that's through her professional journey, her journey as a mentor, or her role as a role model at home?
Okay, sure. I think it comes full circle. So I think, in the beginning of her life, people invested in her. Her school teachers saw something in her. Her parents saw that she wanted to do more, so they invested in her. And then she got to college, and the professors there invested in her. And then also, she lived with two professors from Virginia State College at the time, and they really invested in her, taught her how to study, how to do well. They showed her what to do in life. Louise Hunter got her PhD. Mom saw that. So that was all an investment. And then she got to Dahlgren, and the people there, Ralph Neiman, who recruited her, and then the people she worked with, they invested. And then mom invested in herself because she knew in order to grow and progress, she had to do the work as well. So she continued, studying, getting more degrees, and studying how to be a good mathematician, how to be a good manager. And then I think after that, she started investing in others. She invested in us as children growing up. We watched her example. We knew the things that were important. And then she started investing in the community to help people to grow. And then she started mentoring students at different schools. She and my dad would go and talk about their careers, investing in them. So I think investing and progressing is who she is.
Absolutely. It certainly sounds like it. And, witnessing, some of that yourself, and being, I imagine someone who your mother invested in, what was it like for you growing up watching her make those investments in others?
So, it was everyday life. I didn't realize how much she was investing in me, but I realized by example she was investing. So we knew we had to study hard. We knew when we were in high school, we had to take the courses that would enable us to succeed in college. We knew that we were going to college. We didn't talk about going to college like it wasn't a question, but we knew that that was what we were going to do. So she invested in us that way. She taught us the subtle things in life that I didn't really realize the importance, things like family, extended family, doing things together. So I just, I watched her example. I watched her get her advanced degrees. She got a master's degree while we were in elementary and high school. And then we watched her get her PhD. And then, I just watched her persevere and invest in things. So I think.
That just sounds beautiful to me. And it's, in that spirit of her investment in the work that she did is what we would talk about at North Star as um, melanated map, being a melanated mapper, someone who's, really sort of set the foundation for so many other maps to come. Um, we hold high these what we sometimes refer to as these geoluminaries who take the time to grow skills, grow knowledge, and then share that with others. Share the light of their work, the light of their experience, the light of their journey, and to personally share that with others. And I'm sure everyone touched directly by your mother appreciated that, and we appreciate it as well.
Mhm.
And and um and this, but for our audience, we have such a deep appreciation for it that when we thought about how we could bring new ways to the world, new ways of celebrating the impacts of Black folks doing important things in geography and in geography related work, folks striving for success in that work, creating more visibility for them, folks striving for equity in that work, folks just trying to do cool and interesting and fun things in that world. Um, we thought it would be great to institute a Black in Geography Day. And in doing so, we wanted the moment itself to honor someone. And in honoring one person, just really exemplify how we want to honor so many others. So when we were trying to look for a date for Black in Geography Day, there were a bunch of options for how to choose that date, but we knew right off the bat that we wanted to focus on a person. And when we think about geospatial today, the perhaps the most ubiquitous concept that everybody feels like they understand. We will say GIS or geospatial, or we'll even say mapping a lot. And sometimes people understand what we're talking about. But when you say GPS, people sort of get that. They've been using that for a while now and are really comfortable with that. And I'm sure not too many people understand that your mother, a woman, a Black woman in particular, had a huge role to play in that technology. So we chose her, and we chose to use her birthday, October 27th, as Black in Geography Day. And as a part of doing that, we are inviting all of our partners and all of those who choose to partner and all of those who choose to celebrate um, excellence in geo fields that happens to come from Black contributors. We're inviting everyone to share stories of their staff, um, past and present, of their heroes, again, past and present, who have done great things in geography related fields. So we're calling on our partners in anthropology and environmental science and urban planning, in geoscience, in geography specifically, in GIS and geospatial. We're calling on folks in organizations like National Geographic Society and Esri, and you name the organization that's focused on maps. We know that you all have done things in different ways to celebrate folks, and have helped to nurture, inspire, employ, and enable Black Geo students, educators, and professionals. And we're calling on all of you to help us share and elevate their stories. So across the month of October, which we want people to start to think about as Black in Geography Month, we'll be celebrating other folks who've been pioneering, and other folks who are newly emerging in excellence um, around that time period, as a way really to honor your mother.
I think that's really awesome and really important. Very much so.
Yeah, and with that in mind, we're establishing this day on the 27th. That's your mother's birthday. Um, you know, How do you feel this initiative could accelerate progress for Black people in geography and STEM, and for Black women in particular? Um, you know, what might have been, well, you had your mother directly in your life, and but
Mhm.
maybe as a kid you couldn't quite see what that really meant. But when you think about, Black children more broadly, Black girls in particular, and other children around the world, what do you think it'll mean for them to have a space to celebrate and to really think about your mother as they're doing so?
I think it's really a good thing. We need to know what people did, what Black women did. I mean, they paved the way for us. They did so many things. They've accomplished so much, and I think those little girls who hear the story, see the story, they will be inspired. Mom is really dedicated to making sure the youth know that they can do what they want to do. They need a dream. They have a passion, and you can go for it, even if you have a lot of issues, stumbling across the way, you can still make it happen. So I think this is great. I have two granddaughters who they don't understand everything because they're little, but they know when they see my mom's picture and they point to it and they know something has happened. When mom has talked to various schools, the kids are just, really thrilled. And one story was a little girl. Mom went talked to the schools on the naval base, and one little girl got transferred to Japan. And when she got in the school, there was a picture of mom on the wall. And she wrote back to her teachers to say how happy and inspired she was. So to recognize all these women who've contributed so much, that's the only way to progress, because we have to know our past in order to know we can do it and progress.
Absolutely. Agree 100%. And so now some questions came in before the event, but we are encouraging folks, if you're with us live, to share your questions in the chat, share them in the Q&A, and we're just going to get started with some of the questions that we had in advance. So people want to understand, what is even just one lesson from your mother that's inspired you personally or professionally?
So professionally, I would say it's that worth ethic of working hard, always learning. I saw her getting up in the morning, studying, working, that she didn't say you have to get up and do this, but watching it and observing that, that's what I observed professionally, as well as if someone is doing something to you that isn't quite right, that you just, keep going. You just try to rise above it and be who you are, and hope that eventually they'll see who you are and they will treat you the way that you're treating them. And in my personal life, I think it's family, just the importance of family. As when we were together growing up, we did everything together. On Sunday nights, we watched a TV show, not necessarily what I would watch, but we watched a TV show, and then we ate dinner together. We went and visited extended family. I have a good relationship with my grandmother and my cousins growing up. Family is really important now. When we have family reunions, mom enjoys seeing everyone. So I think that's the biggest personal achievement.
That sounds, really awesome. We have a couple more questions. Um, so how can organizations in STEM, from your perspective, how can they better support and accelerate the progress of Black women? Following in some of the examples that you were describing about how people invested in your mother.
Mhm. So locally, our fraternities and sororities, they are really involved in sponsoring STEM events. And I think that that's really important to show what's available in STEM. I didn't know all of what we could do in STEM. You take chemistry and biology in school and you think that's all there is, but there's so much more in STEM. And I think that some of the museums have activities and different organizations. So I think it's very important to have STEM events where the youth can get involved and see all the opportunities. And then I think, when you get on a job, it's important to have that mentor there on the job. So the job should make sure that there's someone there who can guide your career. Just going to college doesn't make you an expert on the job. I think it teaches you how to work, but there's someone on the job who needs to help you to develop and grow, encourage networking, just, invest, like you said, invest in them.
Yeah, that on that last note, we find that particularly important, and we have this way of talking about traditional diversity initiatives that where someone is trying to do something really good, they want to create space for and opportunities to connect with people from underrepresented groups, and they bring them into their organizations, or they propel them into other organizations, and we sort of think about that as a catapult. You've launched someone into a space. Now that space isn't always designed to nurture and support folks. And having mentors at the ready helps folks to navigate those spaces. And we believe that those mentors don't always have to come from the very organization you work in. So we've created what we call the Melanated and Mapping community to be a part of our bridge that connects people from where they are to where they want to be and supports them all throughout that journey. So that any sort of notion of of having mentorship to help you move through spaces really resonates with me. We have another question here. It says, "What's one of your fondest memories with your mother that speaks to her character or her passions outside of her professional life?"
I would say it goes back to family. So we have some Sunday dinners. We've had those since we've been grown, and bringing the grandchildren back now. I think that those kind of events, mom is just so happy to see everyone and get involved. I think that that's a really happy memory. Another event was when she got her PhD, just knowing the struggle of having had a stroke, and then recovering from that stroke to continue to finish the PhD. And my son and I and my dad, we joined in to help her finish. And then to see her at graduation, that's a great memory too.
That's awesome. Just it's really inspiring, and I'm reminded of so many conversations that we have about how important it is to have create for yourself that space and that energy to continue to go. And sometimes there are things that come up that make it difficult for you to have that energy that threaten to shrink your energy down to nothing. And I can imagine that enduring a stroke could be the kind of thing that really um, you know, um, could create a real barrier for a person and make it difficult for them to keep going in any way whatsoever, let alone to continue to pursue education and a career. So that's just a truly inspirational story. Um, and just a bit of a departure, but maybe sort of back to technology. We've got another question that someone shared with us. How has your mother's pioneering work in GPS technology impacted your own view of technology and innovation?
It's changed it. I don't think I thought about what it takes to, use technology and advance it and see what can be done. And so, we use the GPS. I never thought about what went into it in order for it to be the GPS. And then that makes me question a lot of other things that we're doing. So recently I went to a Black History Month event at a church, and they had a room full of things that had been done with technology by Black people. And I was just in awe that all these things are created. And maybe had I thought about that, had I been involved in STEM activities, maybe that's a career path I would have thought about. I didn't like chemistry or biology, so I just said no STEM.
Good point. Yeah. This sort of introduction of tech to science, has been a great and exciting pivot that, it's been a while, but when I think back, you know, a couple of decades, it really wasn't quite, a thing. And
Right.
now that it is, it's just like a whole other realm of things to inspire folks around. And, when we think about STEM and all the ways in which STEM capabilities influence geography and how geography amplifies and influences some STEM capabilities. Um, work that folks are doing very often is someplace. And because of GPS, people can feel confident that they will know what that place is if they have a phone with them. They'll get those coordinates. They'll fill out a survey. They'll fill out some form, and they'll know where they are. And and that has only happened because someone like your mother worked really hard to get us there. I have another question, and then I'll make a bit of an announcement, and we'll see if we have more questions in the chat. But in what ways do you think we can continue to honor and build upon the legacy of trailblazers like your mother in the tech and geography fields?
Honor them, show what they did, have, so there is a museum that's being started in Alexandria, Virginia, where it will focus on the achievement of women in general, not just, but women in STEM. It's called the Women's Center for Innovation. And they will have a lot of activities within the museum. It'll be digital, and they'll have some interactive activities for the youth. I think that is one way of opening people's eyes and letting them see what they can do. I think we need to honor our women and their achievements, just make it known. There are some children's books that focus on STEM now. I think that that's really great. And then the community just get involved and finding out the history of these women and what they've done, and just really honor them.
Yeah, I really, that resonates with me as well. Um, when we, when I sat around myself to choose words for um, how to articulate our mission. Once our team figured out what our mission was, we had a lot of things to say about Black representation in geography-related fields, and the first thing we wanted to say is that we're here. There are people who have been here for a long time, so we want to honor them, we want to elevate them, we want to promote them, we want to magnify their work, and we also want to encourage more people to get into that space. But very often, our even our allies will begin with the notion that, oh, there are so few Black people in this work that there are none. And so it's important to us to say that we promote Black representation because it exists. We are here, and we want to, honor the folks who have done great things, and those melanated #melanated and mapping folks, and honor the folks who are getting started in that work as well, and who are yet to come. I want to make a quick announcement. So getting back to what we want to do to celebrate Black contributors to geo related work. So we are, again, in terms of partnership and engaging with the broader community, we're doing some outreach to some specific groups. So we're inviting everyone to share with us names and biographies and links to other content of Black folks who are students, educators, or entrepreneurs and professionals doing geography related work. Send that information to us at together at NorthStar of GIS.org by Juneteenth. And we're going to take a selection of those folks, and we're going to highlight some of them around October, our sort of Black in Geography month. And we're going to pick a few to honor in particular to highlight in features on Black and Geography Day. So for those of us listening live and those of you listening virtually, a significant part of our audience, our audience is spread all over the globe and across different time zones. So we try to pick a time slot that will work for some, recognizing that it won't work for all. And we anticipate some of our following to join us, from the continent, from the Caribbean, and from other spaces at different times. And so when you're hearing this, think about somebody who has done something great. Maybe it's yourself, maybe it's a mentor you had, maybe it's a colleague, and share their name and something about them to us at together at NorthStar of GIS by Juneteenth this year so that we can select from them to celebrate this month. And I think we've got one more question from the audience. And that question is, what more can be done to celebrate your mother's accomplishments? Is it time for a petition to NASA, for a NASA building named after her?
Well, people have been so kind and given her so many awards and inductions into different Hall of Fames. I think that, her goal is to just inspire people. So if we want to celebrate what she's done, I think we look a little bit beyond just the GPS and understand what it took for her to get to the point to be able to help with the GPS. And so just if everyone would just get out there and mentor and support each other and know that struggles don't stop you, just stay inspired, follow your passion. I think that's the greatest way to honor her accomplishment.
That makes a lot of sense to me. And just in like two broad general terms, when we think about the kinds of things that slow people down sometimes, when it comes to success in any space, whether it's geography or any other field, well, sometimes you may have a skill barrier and you need to learn something new. And when we think about your mother and what you shared with us, she was constantly learning. So constantly learning new things about her discipline, her craft, and that's important. Another barrier sometimes is, where do I go? Where do I get started? Like a network that'll help you make connections and, you know, building your own sort of networks and spaces is important. And it sounds like that
Correct.
resonates with you too. Yeah.
Yes.
And then just, realistically, um, it isn't a coincidence that some of us are underrepresented in some spaces. And there will be times when there's conscious or unconscious bias that we have to interrupt.
Yes.
And we don't want to see that as a we want to see it as what it is, as a barrier, as an obstacle, but it's not impenetrable. It's not something you can't go over, under, around, or through. And very often we promote a variety of ways to interrupt bias. And so
Mhm.
grow a network, connect to ours to get started if you're looking for ways to get connected and inspired. Learn more about geography or GPS in particular, and build that network that'll help you and support you in finding ways to interrupt bias when you see it. Do you have any final thoughts, Carolyn?
Um, just when you're talking about some of the undertones that you might experience at work, mom and my dad, they were in the time where they were just starting integration. So being on the job, there was some subtle racism. The Dahlgren base was a little more progressive than outside the base at that time. But mom always said, and she always taught us. You don't necessarily, like, they couldn't fight the fight because they worked for the government, but the way that they fought and was to show everyone they worked with that they belonged. And so that education, that holding your head up high in spite of what you might hear here and there, that's important. You can fight, you can show them you're no better than me. I can study, I can learn, I just do the job. And mom always said, I knew I belonged there. And I just had to show them that I belonged there.
That's incredible. Um, Thank you, Carolyn, for sharing these intimate and inspiring aspects of your mother, Dr. Gladys West's life and her work. Um, let's all commit to representing and uplifting excellence in geography related fields, particularly from Black folks. Let's get ready for October 27th, Black in Geography Day, and the entirety of October, Black in Geography Month, as we strive for a more equitable and feminist future for all GL fields. Now, before we get to our musical performance one more time, I just want to remind folks, send those names and those and that information about folks, whether it's a complete biography or just something that you think is important about a Black Geo luminary that you believe should be honored, even if that is yourself, during Black in Geography Day or during the month of October, and send that information to together at NorthStar of GIS, and do so by June 19th. Now, before we close out, we want to connect back with Octavia and, really wrap up our event once again, enjoying her talents with a beautiful performance that maybe encapsulate the spirit of today's celebration. Again, thank you all for joining us, and let's all sit back and be inspired once again by Octavia Reese.